How you doing? I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome. I want to talk to you today about grief. Um, Grief is what happens when grief. First of all, um, so many people are going through life changes, life things that they want, and grief is part of that. And most people don't recognize grief because it's a journey that we must go to. I like to, hey, welcome anyone who's joining, and we'll share this later. Please share, and also you can also catch me on paulholisticscience.com. But I want to talk to you about grief. Grief is something that we all have, and a lot of people say the strangest things about grief of what they're going through. Like, so sorry you're going through this. My condolences. Prayers to you, hugs to you, depending on your faith and things like that. And also we say the wrong things, like eventually you'll get over it. These are some of the words that we use, and it's damaging. Grief is something that we must learn how to process, learn how to connect with, learn how it has affected us. And most people only associate grief with death or a loss. But now there's all types of losses. There's an emotional loss, there's a physical loss, right? And there's a mental loss. You know, these are the three stages we live in. And there's a spiritual loss. Most people don't recognize grief as a spiritual loss. If you've lost contact with your spiritual self or your internal self, and how are you living externally? So we lose all the time. And in our loss, we tend to lose who we are. So how do we understand what we can do about loss? We lose communities, we lose jobs, we lose we lose keys, and we are so strong about how can I have done this? How can I have let this happen? How can it happen to me? You know, loss is not something that is done to you. Loss isn't something that happens because of you. Grief is a process you go through. So no matter what loss there is, grief is a process you must learn how to deal with yourself emotionally. And this is why I like teaching emotional sciences. Emotional sciences has more to do with understanding how you are connected to all thoughts and feelings. All thoughts and feelings, doesn't matter what there are. But I'm specifically talking about grief today. And a grief can be painful. It has been painful. I know I've been through grief myself. I think everyone has been through grief. And we can either miss or lose, or like I said, a change in something, and we're grieving it. But wanting it back only causes more pain. Seeing that this is something that is causing you to have an understanding of who you are, what you are, and where you are. This is important when it comes to grieving and your journey through grief. The question I have, and I've been asked, is how long does grief take? That is not an answer. That is not a realistic answer that will happen, because everyone does it differently. Everyone will do it differently. And everyone shall do it differently, because everyone is different. The only way to have a true process of your grief is to allow yourself to connect. We're struggling with the way we see our presidential process, our governmental process. And I tell you, and I'm grieving over it, because what I thought the presidential or the political process was at one time is not. It is, we knew things were corrupt, and we knew governments are caused by corruption and things like that. But, you know, now it's a loss to me. So But I'm looking at this as more of an opportunity for us as a community, us as people, us as humanity, to say, you know, I know that's part of our thing, the justice and the three branches, but we have more work to do here together as neighbors, as co-workers, as family, as friends. As relationship goes, all things you are in a relationship. You're all things you are in a relationship. So this process opens up another avenue. That's what I mean. It allows you to look at things as a new process, as it turns. Because all the universe is rotating, right? And all the universe is expanding. And we know all things are the way they contract also. So things come together and things expand. And there's a exponentially things has happened throughout everything from the macro to the micro, right? This happens also to the inside of you emotionally, because when you are connecting yourself emotionally to what you are developing and who you want to be, not who you were framed to be by your social environment or your social economic issue, because those are the things that only causes so much pain, where someone's boxing you into a corner and they're making you out to be what they want you to be for what they need you to be, and you had no clause in it. You have no choice in it. You have a choice into understanding your connection with your emotions. And once you do that, you can get through grief. You will recognize what grieving process is doing for you. Going back to how this all results back into the four things in your life: spirituality, your physical, your mental, right? And what's the fourth level? Your connection. Okay? You gotta have your connection, because those other three will never happen. And grief allows you to connect with yourself and understand what this meant for you. Now, can grief take a turn? I'm not sure. I don't think so. And the reason why, what I mean by a turn, can it turn bad, right? No, I don't think so. Because it allows forces to work. Again, when you do your connection, your emotional connection in your emotional practice, and that has a lot to do with meditation and prayer, and prayer and meditation are two different things. But understanding how it's affecting you and your body, how it sits with you and your body, is important. So I want you to take this time out and to recognize, I really believe that all of us are grieving for something. I really do. I think we've missed something, forgotten something, hoped for something, and it didn't come to where we wanted to be. But it's where we are right now, and because you are looking at either in the past or hopefully in the future, you're not being present. You're not allowing yourself to be presently and feel. Please feel our now, because we need your help. We need your help for community. We need your help for schools. We need your help globally. We're suffering. Our planet's suffering, right? We have so many types of suffrage out there that it's even hard to just keep rattling off, and I don't want to do that because you know they're out there. I think we suffer because of our disconnect. We suffer because of our disconnect. Only in our connection we find peace. Self-connection, we find peace. Because once you have self-connection, you would have then compassion. I'm not talking about empathy. I'm talking about compassion. Compassion needs to be practiced. And once you connect with yourself, you will end up having compassion, and then that starts the external action. So, please take this time. Always contact me on Dr. Paul, holisticscience.com, and you can listen to Bridges live with Dr. Paul W Dyer on iHeart and iTunes Radio. I wish you all a blessed, blessed day. And remember, you're probably grieving. And if you are grieving, give yourself the time. Recognize what it's doing to your body, doing to your mind, doing to your spirituality, right? Allow that connection, allow it to flow, and don't lash out. Don't be so hateful, okay? God bless.